Give me some
prosecutors.
Give me some data. Stop squinting at me and saying the prosecutors did a thing. You didn't know. You didn't read it. You didn't read the court papers.
Destiny completely loses it over the clip of Tim Pool chewing out Luke Beasley. Let's see what Destiny has to say.
That if it's proven that you had a plan and you wanted to act on it, and then days after, the proof is
say the proof.
By prosecutors.
Say it.
Communications between
what communications? What did he say? What did he do?
Oh my God! Like, listen to this guy. This is also, they do this shit too when they invite you on the show. And I complained in the past, right, that they don't tell you the topics before you go on because Tim will needle you down to every. Really? How did he spell it there? Did he actually even capitalize the T on that word? Do you remember if he was using punctuation? Really? I bet you can't even with the emoji that he used. Like, holy shit, bro.
Is this serious?
Are you going to tell me why you think Enrique Tarrio should be in prison for 20 years? Or are you going to say the government?
You know, so when someone goes on Pac-Man's show and they say like, oh yeah, there's a secret cabal, and David Pac-Man goes, oh, can you name any of them? Oh, that's fine. Oh, that's completely okay. But Tim Pool asks him like, hey, well, can you name the case? Can you talk about the details of it? Just to see if he knows what he's talking about. And, oh, yeah, no, that's a big problem. You can't do that. Nuh-nuh-uh. Tim Pool's point was that this Luke Beasley doesn't know what he's talking about. And even if he did, like, even if he knows the case, like, should someone suffer, like, a few years just for walking into the Capitol? Is that justified? You know, listen, let's assume they didn't do any damage. They didn't, you know, take anything. They didn't break anything. They didn't assault any officers or anything like that. They just walked into the Capitol and then they walked out. Should someone suffer a few years? And then the example Tim Pool gave was that the guy, he wasn't like officially charged. Like, there's no official charges. He's just locked in there for how long. Like, do you think that's fair underneath the law? That's pretty much what Tim Pool's getting at.
Read it.
I just explained to you.
So the government said so. Is that it?
It's usually law enforcement, which I guess is part of the government.
Government said so?
Yep.
So
Law
you can't
enforcement
say why.
that uncovers evidence of communications, a memo that he crafted and sent to his organization. Saying,
Oh, uh-oh. Oh, no. Uh-oh. Does Luke know details? Oh, no.
What?
It detailed each institution of government that they were going to try to overthrow.
This is the 1776 returns or whatever bullshit. This is the map thing that I was talking about. Yep.
Then just days later, his organization is at the Capitol.
And now Tim is f***ing Googling. What a slimy, disgusting, subhuman, alien, sniveling worm f***. Can you hear the sounds of him sliming down his f***ing chair as he starts pounding away at his f***ing keyboard because he has literally no f***ing idea what he's talking about?
His organization is at the Capitol.
I don't think we can even pull up Enrique Tarrio.
I'm not quite sure that there's any evidence.
What Luke should ask, oh, how did they get, yeah, okay. This wasn't, they didn't plea out anything. This is, they went to court and they were convicted on it, right? Yep. Is that the green room guy too? Yep.
Of that sort.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say this.
let me just pivot literally off of everything I just said completely. Hold on.
The idea that Enrique Tarrio crafted a memo outlining,
okay,
or they,
he hasn't read any of the after he screamed at him. Okay. After he screamed at him for not having read any of the court documents. He said that. Remember, right? Hold on.
We try to be nice, but there are so many young liberals who sit here and say, the corporate press told me that these people are bad, and the machine state government has decreed it by pen. So I don't care what crime they committed. I don't care what the jury said. I don't care who was on the jury. Enrique Tarrio, who was not there, should be in prison for 2 decades. Tell me this now. Why is Enrique Tarrio in prison?
Wait.
Yeah, so they uncovered with him his plot to overthrow the government.
Enrique Tarry's?
Yeah, and his organization.
There is Owen Schroyer, who was at a permanent. They put him in prison and specifically cited his speech. My dude, you don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about?
And it's fine. I get it. We try to be polite. We try to be nice. But there are so many young liberals who sit here and say, the corporate press told who that these
that?
people are bad, and the machine state government has decreed it by pen. So I don't care what crime they committed. I don't care what the jury right wing as a right wing group and a run of the mill Christian conservative who showed up on that day not to protest. Let's talk about Brandon. This is the ultimate problem. People are suffering because of it. Now you say that
It's coming up after Luke's first answer. Is
sit
it?
here and who was on the jury and prison for
They uncovered with him his plot to overthrow the
plot?
government.
Enrique Tarry, is it?
Yeah, and his organization.
what plot? Who's they? Give me some
Prosecutors.
Give me some f***ing data. Stop squinting at me and saying the prosecutors did a thing. You didn't know. You didn't read it. You didn't read the court papers. You didn't know. You didn't read it. You didn't read the court papers. You didn't know. You didn't read it. You didn't read the court papers. You didn't know. You didn't read it. You didn't read the court papers. Witness
Wikipedia
evidence
time. And then he goes to Wikipedia.
Yeah.
These guys gonna call me a wiki warrior. Read the actual indictment. Just the indictment. You don't have to read anything else. Just read the indictment.
Yeah. You know what? I'll say this. The idea that Enrique Tarrio crafted a memo outlining,
conspiracy, okay.
or they,
Tim is discovering this live. Oh no. He's discovering it live. Tim had no. He hasn't even read the wiki on this. He hasn't even read the wiki. He's like, wait. He's like, oh shit. He's like, wait a second. Enrique Tarrio, he was just a guy who wasn't even at the Capitol, right? He must have gotten sentenced and convicted for 2 decades, I think for no reason, right? For 2 decades, for no reason, right? It must have been, right? And he's like, whoa. He's like, what?
3 months.
So when it comes to Enrique Tarrio, like, listen, there's not much of defense there. Like, yeah, he pretty much what Luke Beasley's saying about Enrique Tarrio is pretty much correct. And I'm not defending Enrique Tarrio. You know, he's the dude from the Proud Boys. The only question I would ask is that he got 22 years. I would just ask, well, is that reasonable? Like, is that if you break the laws that he broke, is that the standard time that you would get? That would be my only question. Other than that, I'm not really defending Enrique Tarrio. I'm defending people who were like just walked into the building, or there was this other guy who was there pretty much taking photography. Like, he was just documenting everything, and he learned that there was a warrant for his arrest, and so he actually turned himself in. And they wanted to throw the book at him pretty much, and so he ended up unaliving himself. Now, listen, I don't think you should unalive yourself over that, but still, like, this is the type of punishments that some of these people for January 6th are receiving. Now, unlike people on the left who think there are some people who shouldn't suffer any consequences, I'm not saying people who were involved in any type of wrongdoing on January 6th shouldn't receive any type of consequences or anything like that. We're trying to make sure that the consequences are fair. That's our only concern. And I think that's where Tim Pool's coming from, even if he might have gotten some things wrong in this instance. What do you guys think about that? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy content like this. Let's continue.
His plot to overthrow the government.
Enrique Tarry, is it?
Yeah, and his organization.
What plot? Who's they? Give me some
Prosecutors.
Give me some f***ing data. Stop squinting at me and saying the prosecutors did a thing. You didn't know. You didn't read it. You didn't read the court papers. All you know is the fascist machine state told you he should be in prison, and you're saying yes to them.
And not a single other person, they're all looking at each other like, yeah, right? Yeah, right? Not a single person here can counter what they just read in the Wikipedia article about this. The Wikipedia article. The wiki.
Returns, in which the Winter Palace was used as an apparent code for. In the bigger picture,
And that's kind of
That's a very loose definition of plans to overthrow the government.
Also, sorry, hold on. Somebody said, Destiny, he's probably like 50% you or Josiah. He's pretty knowledgeable. I'm not trying to imply that Luke is like a random dipshit or whatever, okay? Also, 50% me or Josiah, my guesstimate would be that Luke probably knows considerably more than me on a lot of domestic affairs stuff because he literally covers the news every day. Luke is a very knowledgeable person. I'm just making fun of just like on a macro perspective, the setup here. Like, Luke is a knowledgeable guy on news. He covers it on his, I'm pretty sure on his YouTube channel, like every day or multiple times a day. It's just the setup here of all of these fucking conservative chud fucks, okay? All of these boot devourers in here, all right? That cover also this like conspiratorial nonsense, probably personal friends with a lot of these fucking losers that were actually convicted, right? That not a single person here can counter what he's saying.
y'all don't seem to be that informed.
Wait, Luke, respectfully, I cover a lot of protests.
I like how this fucking retard is respectfully. Like he's about to shatter this guy's reality. Like he's about to destroy everything. He's just said, respectfully, sir, I cover a lot of stuff, and that's all I got.
Riots. A lot of people try to protest and riot and occupy government buildings. Do you think that qualifies as trying to, overthrow your government?
No.
Okay, good. So, I mean...
but if they had a plan to take control of the government, which was this one.
If this was an actual plan, this was the leastly poorly, most
over the government?
ridiculous plan ever. They went after people for having Lego sets of the Capitol. I mean, the level of political prosecution here, would you even admit that there was some level of politics when it came to the prosecution of the J6ers? Would you say politics played a...
So some people could watch this and argue, yeah, Tim Pool, he looked like a fool here. These people, they look like fools. And yeah, listen, it kind of does make him look stupid when he's yelling at this kid, Luke Beasley here, and then meanwhile he like, do you know the case? And then meanwhile, he doesn't even fully know some of the things here on January 6th. Okay, I could admit that. But I do not want to hear anything from Destiny, who gets things wrong all the time, especially when it comes to January 6th. Like, for him to sit here and act like, and then he personally attacks them. He calls them all conservative. They're not conservative, dude. Like, you talk to conservatives, we're like, yeah, Tim Pool's not a conservative. But to Destiny and a lot of these other lefties, if you're not 100% with them, well, then you're 100% on the opposite side of them. Destiny clearly has this hatred, this deep-seated hatred toward conservatives and right-wingers, and he probably would admit it. I mean, he admitted he hates the middle class. Like, Destiny seems like a very hate-filled person. He probably has. I mean, I'm looking at this guy clearly. Listen, he may be rich. He might have a lot of money. He might be successful. Okay, I'll give him that. But, I mean, you look at him, you look at his lifestyle, his personal choices in his life, the things that he does. There's clearly something wrong with him. He's not all there. And the things that frustrate us about conservatives and why we're always defending people who are convicted on January 6th, even if they maybe don't deserve it, like Enrique Tarrio, is because the media does their job. They go into overtime trying to demonize all of these people and hype up January 6th as like one of the most darkest days in U.S. history when it wasn't. I'm not defending January 6th. I'm not saying it was a good thing. It was fine. Nothing wrong with it. No, I was never a fan of January 6th. But I definitely don't think it was one of the darkest days ever in United States history, and everyone that was involved should deserve to have the book at them and even unfairly kept in jail with no charges on them, with no release date in sight and stuff. Listen, you could punish these people, but keep it fair. That's what we're asking. Yes, suffer the consequences, but keep it fair and don't just use them as an examples of this is what could happen to you. But the left, they always hype up January 6th as the worst thing ever, and they downplay things like the BLM riots. At least we're not doing that. We're not sitting here saying, yeah, January 6th is fine, like Destiny and these other lefties do with BLM. And the riots and all the horrific crimes that came out of that. What do you guys think about that? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy content like this. And if you do enjoy content like this, I got more videos on the screen for you to click on and enjoy.